They warn me to stay calm. But how do you keep your cool when a stranger in a phony uniform is hammering on your door at dawn, barking about made-up federal regulations? I felt like a prisoner in my own cul-de-sac, with every neighbor sealed up tight behind drawn curtains, as if we'd all stumbled into one of those twisted neighborhood nightmare tales that go viral online. Folks chuckle at them from afar, but living it? That's pure terror. It shattered something deep inside me that morning. Would you have cracked the door open, or just hunkered down and hoped he'd vanish? Relocating to Willowbrook Meadows felt like our family's lifeline amid the storm. My son, Alexa U.S. Marshal on bereavement leave after losing his mom to a brutal fight with leukemia, craved the kind of stillness that could mend wounds far beyond the grind of his job. This serene suburb, with its flawless yards and clockwork routines, seemed tailor-made for a guy piecing himself back together after heartbreak and the relentless pressure of chasing fugitives. Drop a pin on where you're reading this from. I am betting your block doesn't harbor the kind of madness we walked straight into. We figured we'd left turmoil behind, but it turns out trouble was lurking, armed with a counterfeit badge and a very real pistol. Carl Whitaker showed up at our doorstep at precisely 6 a.m., just 4 days after we'd hauled the last box inside. He loomed there, his badge glinting cheaply in the early lighted detail that should have screamed warning. His outfit screamed official at first glance. Utility belt, holster bulge that set my nerves on fire. Federal compliance check, he declared, voice dripping with that unearned command that makes most folks snap to attention. Verifying adherence to national residential codes in this district. The word district hit like a gavel, heavy and final, the sort you don't push back against unless you're courting disaster. When I demanded ID, Carl's fingers twitched toward his guna move straight out of a thug's playbook, not a protector's. His drawl turned icy. You sure about blocking official duties? That invites penalties nobody wants. My gut twisted. Something reeked off about the whole setup, the hour, his stance, the over-the-top push to seem legit. Then Alex materialized at my side, his grief-worn calm masking the sharp instincts honed from years in federal pursuits. He eyed Carl's gear with a pro's scrutiny, the silence thickening like fog as he cataloged every flaw. What department backs your credentials? Alex asked, his tone steady, the investigator peeking through his mourning. Carl blinked, then puffed up. Neighborhood alliances with national security grant me oversight on home standards. Got an issue. It was a dare, not an answer, another red flag waving in my face. Hindsight screams that real feds don't ambush you pre-coffee. They book slots like civilized people. After Carl slapped us with a $400 fine for resisting audit and stormed off, Alex went stone silent, kind that meant his mind was dissecting the puzzle. I knew that look from his rookie days, wrestling cases he couldn't share but couldn't shake. What's eating you? I probed, reading the tension in his shoulders. He exhaled slow. Pop, that badge is bogus. Gun's probably legit, but the rest? Amateur hour. He broke it down. Wrong typeface, shoddy build. Uniform knockoffs a civilian might miss, but not a trained eye like his. Call the cops, I suggested, but Alex nixed it firm. He mentioned alliances could mean local shields. A report vanishes easy if he's got insiders. We play smart, stack-proof, so ironclad it can't be buried. I watched him morph into the Marshal he was, even on hiatus, sketching plans that hinted at depths darker than a pesky neighbor. That night, whispers over fences unveiled Carl's months-long grip on the block. Sarah from across the way spilled it low, eyes darting like he might lurk in the dusk. Years of ballooning penalties for whims. Menaces to newcomer families over status papers unrelated to community rules. Seniors cowed silent by his official clout. Nobody pushes anymore, she murmured, defeated. He's wired at the precinct. Complaints evaporate. Alex made his call then, oblivious to the storm brewing. Pop, I'll assemble a dossier off books till it's airtight. His leave be damned. Those Marshal skills surged. Legal. I fretted, fearing blowback from his bosses. Folks can record crimes against them. When we're set, I'll hit the right channels. His laptop glowed with folders, cross-checks prep that chilled me, like gearing for battle, not a spat. Mornings shifted to ritual, brew, quiet, ghosts. My wife's photo beamed from the shelf, a relic of joy before illness stole her, leaving us fractured. I wasn't always this subdued pensioner Carl pegged me for. Back in my prime, I was the go-to for discreet digs before badges got involved. The kitchen echoed with absent laughs from fuller days. Alex should have been healing, but threats don't sleep for men wired to spot them in every glitch. Post another bogus ticket. I caught Alex mapping the hood, logging Carl's rhythms with my old-school intensity mirrored back. "This ain't haphazard bullying," he said, eyes on charts tracking victim profiles. Patterns scream setup. Intel scoops, timed hits, escalations like pro ops for Fearmax compliance. His real Marshal shield gleamed beside the fakes, a stark divide. He dissected Carl's mind games, preying on demographics, twisting official jargon to baffle, timings hinting at psyop schooling over lone wolf vibes. Neighbors spilled. Mrs. Thompson, housebound after dark from FedWatch, dread. The Rodriguez clan eyeing relocation over baseless status scares. Alex's maps color-coded tactics, pegging dozens in a grid-fitting vulnerability blueprints. If he's this drilled, he paused, grim, bigger fish loom. His phased probe, ratcheted tension, innocent queries peeling Carl's facade. Badge code, verification line, statute granting armed home checks. Carl's retorts grew snarly, slips mounting for trained ears citing phantom pacts, sham emergencies, docs Alex flagged as forgeries. Carl adapted, hauling extras to showdowns for mob muscle over solo menace. Too nosy for safety compliance, he snarled, but his edge dulled. Mike, his sidekick, muttered cracks when Carl turned. Newbies gotta grasp the setup, show unity backs his protocols. Paranoia peaked at our curb clash. Carl rallied confused locals as props, swapping lone threats for group shaming. I cornered Alex that eve. He's sharpening, not raging. Rethink before he outsmarts us. Alex countered strategic. Yield now. He hones deadlier for the weak. I've got 15 marks, his game's evolving smart. Charts, traced adaptations, social leverage, trial tweaks beyond bully basics, reeking of coached crime. Alex emailed for a town hall on protocols, trapping Carl to duck or flop public. Carl bid, eagerness betraying haste. Adapting seamless, Alex noted. Not solo growth-drained curves, external cues. Comms analysis screamed network. Pro adjustments, psi guidance. I'd sniffed enough sham papers in my heyday. Mismatched inks, copied stamps, retro dates masking trails. Carl's were pristine frauds for scared eyes. Alex's Fed access nuked his laws, ghost agencies, expired codes from 95. I bumped Carl curbside, dropping fake clause bait on imposter penalties. His flinch sold the bluff. Peak hit when Carl rolled deep for audit, geared goons in tow. I fronted cool, vet poise from dicey days. Issue Inspector Whitaker? His snap. You know damn well. Gun hand itching. I pressed creds. He pulled steel, sealing his doom. I dialed an old bureau debt, unleashing feds to probe cross-state rot. Surveillance bloomed subtle. Vans, chats, bugs confirming Carl's web. Carl's meltdown. You're detained for Fed fakery. Gun on Alex. Reversal absurda fraud fingering a real Marshal. Block froze as Alex soothed. Drop it. Eyes everywhere. He flashed his shield, eagle glaring true. Shockwave. Carl's denial frenzy. Mike bailing, sirens wailing. Cops verified Alex. Power flipped. Evidence logs fraud. Threats. Alex commanded. Carl cuffed. Blustering technicalities that bombed. Agent Elena Reyes stormed in. Alex's files linked interstate probes. Raids unearthed cryptos, psi software, victim banks, franchise blueprints spanning states. Mike cracked. Online lures as security gigs. Scope ballooned. Servers with profiles, AI fakes, laundering nets generating millions. But wait deeper. Sergei Volkov, ex-KGB, helming from shadows, twisting intel tricks for civvy scams. Network spanned borders. Canada, US, Mexico, 3,500 victims, corrupt shields. Raids synced global. Volkov nabbed in Calgary amid psi gear. Guadalajara dock mills shuttered. Toronto ops busted mid-shake. It wasn't just cash grabs, psi warfare eroding democracy, targeting grievers, migrants, troops for trust erosion, election sways. Our scrap exposed industrial-scale mind games undermining institutions. Trials hammered. Carl, 20 years for rackets, threats. Volkov, life for masterminding. Mike, probation for flips. Victims repaid plus trauma funds misses. Thompson's meds, Rodriguez home. Block bloomed. Garden over Carl's pad. Real HOA reforms. Badge exhibit preaching truth. Alex's medal shines. He trains feds on spotting nets. Mornings now. Peaceful sips. Kids free. Echoes of threats faded. We halted a plague because we fought. But think, should everyday folks arm up against fakes or wait for badges? Is Psy warfare the real threat to democracy or overblown hype? Would you confront a gun-toting official or pay to play safe? Drop your take below. Does fighting back empower or endanger? Hit like if this gripped you. Subscribe for more raw truths. Stay vigilant out there. 1598 words.